Wellness for Life is brought to you by Perham Physical Therapy, Gothenburg Chiropractic Clinic, Mojave Ottawa Community Action Partnership, CHI St. Joseph's Health Weight Management Center, and Natural Alternatives.
Hello, I'm Matthew Koffenberg, physical therapist and owner of Perham Physical Therapy. Today we're going to talk about concussions. We're going to talk about the importance of concussions, and we're going to talk a little bit about what a concussion is. We're actually going to do this in two parts. Today we're going to talk about what a concussion is, and then the next time we're going to talk about what role physical therapy can play in the management of concussion. So thanks for your time, thanks for listening. Let's talk generally about a concussion. What is a concussion? A concussion simply is a blow to the head, or more specifically, it's a traumatic brain injury. And we need to make sure that we call it a traumatic brain injury, because that's exactly what happens. The brain is getting injured. Anatomically, there is room for our brain to move within our skull. So if you take a blow to the head, that brain is going to move in that skull. And so when someone suffers a concussion, what's happening is the brain is actually sliding and banging into the inside of the skull. And that creates the injury. And sometimes if it's a big enough blow to the head, the concussion, or the brain will actually slide, hit the inside of the skull, and then bounce back and hit the other side. So you can actually have multiple areas of the brain that have been injured. As a result of that brain hitting the inside of the skull, there are a series of neurochemical changes that occur. Simply put, that means the brain becomes inflamed. There is a specific protein called the tau protein, that's spelled T-A-U. The tau protein that it also increases in density after the brain has been injured. And we'll talk about the tau protein probably in the second part in terms of management of concussion. So let's look at the function of the brain. How does the brain function? I by no means am an expert when it comes to brain function. But simply put, a good analogy of the brain is to think of it as a filing cabinet. It's got its folders that have been organized very specifically. If you need to do a math problem, the brain opens up that folder of math. If you need to read, it opens up that folder. If you need to remember somebody's name or address, it goes to that filing cabinet and opens that folder up. When someone has sustained a concussion, think of it this way. Think of that filing cabinet as being knocked over, and all the paper has just been thrown all over the place. So now if you need to find a specific item, it's much more difficult to find that item because the paper is just everywhere. There's no organized structure to that filing cabinet anymore. So that's what happens when a brain sustains a concussion. Some common features to be aware of with a concussion. One of them is that it doesn't require a loss of consciousness to sustain a concussion. Usually if you do lose consciousness, that you can specifically state you've had a concussion, but if you've been hit in the head and you don't lose consciousness, you can still actually have a concussion. It is much more common in a high school athlete than it is in a collegiate athlete. We don't know exactly why that is. My personal theory would be that the high school athlete just isn't strong enough yet. Their postural muscles aren't strong enough. They haven't developed their core strength enough to really help control the spine and help control what's happening as the skull is moving. A stronger athlete can really control the head a little bit better, and therefore the brain control is a little bit stronger. You can't see a concussion. If you break your arm, you can take an X-ray and you can see that the arm is broken. Well, there really isn't any imaging that can be done to specifically state that you've had a concussion. You really have to go by symptom presentation to know if someone's had a concussion. The good news with a concussion is that 80 to 90% of us will get better in 2 weeks. So that's the really good news. But it is hard to predict the recovery for those that don't recover within those first 2 to 3 weeks, it can be difficult to know exactly when they're going to get better. Common symptoms of a concussion: headache, nausea, balance problems, dizziness, bothered by light and noise, feeling sluggish, difficulty paying attention, confusion, and memory issues. Those are the common symptoms that we need to be aware of when we're thinking about concussions. So I just have some take-home points from part 1 before we move into part 2. Think of your brain as mission control. Your brain controls your balance, your sleep, your thinking, your mood, your senses. It controls all of that. Number 2, your brain is you. It is your personality. It is your memories. It's your ability to think. And finally, if you have a blow to the head, if you think you have any of those symptoms associated with a concussion, please take care of your brain. Anyone can sustain a concussion. It's not just the athlete. We could have a slip at work. We could slip on ice and fall. Any of us can sustain a concussion. Please take care of your brain. Let your doctor know. Thank you very much. This is Matthew Koffenberg, Perm Physical Therapy. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me at 218-346-2464.
Thank you for watching Wellness for Life. Brought to you by Perham Physical Therapy, Gothenburg Chiropractic Clinic, Mojave Ottawa Community Action Partnership, CHI St. Joseph's Health Weight Management Center, and Natural Alternatives.